Now, let's put some spotlight on the much anticipated move from the Federal Reserve Bank, the central bank largely expected to hold rates steady but adjust their views on the economy and possibly the future path for interest rates. As for what might be already factored in, there's virtually no chance central bank policymakers budge from the current level of their key interest rate, targeted in a range between 4.25% to 4.5%. Chairman Jerome Powell and his colleagues in the recent weeks have advocated a patient approach in which they don't need to be in a hurry to do anything. However, they're also expected to draw up clues about where things go from here against the uncertain backdrop of the US President Donald Trump's trade and fiscal policies. That could include anything from tweaks in projections and inflation and economic growth to how often, if at all, they expect to lower the interest rates further. Well, moving on a telephonic conversation, US President Donald Trump and his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin, agreed on the necessity of an immediate ceasefire in the Ukraine war. The nearly 2-hour-long conversation included talks on improving US-Russia ties, with ceasefires in energy, infrastructure, and maritime operations in the Black Sea. The leaders spoke broadly about the Middle East as a region of potential cooperation to prevent future conflicts. Next up, Germany's Bundestag voted in the favor of a historic fiscal package which includes changes to the long-standing de Brake rule and a €500 billion infrastructure and climate fund. The vote made it through the parliament with 513 votes in favor, above the 489 votes required. But as the package involves changes to the constitution, it needs a two-thirds majority in parliament as well as in the Bundesrat, which represents the country's states, to pass. Next up, over 400 people were killed as Israel has launched a wave of airstrikes across Gaza early Tuesday, shattering a fragile ceasefire that had held since January. The attacks, which struck multiple locations, marked the most intense Israeli bombardment since the truce took effect. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warned that the latest waves of strikes is just the beginning. As the strikes unfolded, a White House spokesperson confirmed that Israel had consulted with Trump administration before carrying out the attacks. Now let's go across and listen in to what else the Israeli PM had to say.
Hamas is responsible for this war. It invaded our towns, murdered our people, raped our women, and kidnapped our loved ones. Hamas refused offer after offer to release our hostages. In the past 2 weeks, Israel did not initiate any military action in the hope that Hamas would change course. Well, that didn't happen. While Israel accepted the offer of President Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, Hamas flatly refused to do so. And this is why I authorized yesterday the renewal of military action against Hamas. Israel does not target Palestinian civilians. We target Hamas terrorists. And when these terrorists embed themselves in civilian areas, when they use civilians as human shields, they're the ones who are responsible for all unintended casualties. Palestinian civilians should avoid any contact with Hamas terrorists. And I call on the people of Gaza, get out of harm's way, move to safer areas. Because every civilian casualty is a tragedy. And every civilian casualty is the fault of Hamas. I thank President Trump for his unwavering support for Israel. Our alliance with the United States has never been stronger.
Well, that's the update coming in on the war front.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.